Welcome to Greenhouse Grower to Grower, the podcast where we're shaping the future of floriculture one conversation at a time. We talk with the growers, leaders, and innovators shaping tomorrow's greenhouse industry today. From market trends, next generation plants, and innovative production, to the challenges and breakthroughs redefining what it means to grow. I'm Brian Sparks, editor of Greenhouse Grower. Let's dig into what's next together. Cultivate '26 takes place less than 2 months from now, and there's always something new happening at this event. In this episode of the Greenhouse Grow to Goer podcast, I talked to Megan Nace, Senior Manager of Education Program Development at American Hort, and Cindy Lee, American Hort's Exhibit and Sponsorship Sales Manager, about new activities such as the Coach's Corner and expanded Spanish language content, how to navigate a jam-packed trade show floor, and what happens with all of the plants on display once Cultivate comes to a close. Keep listening for all of this, plus helpful advice on how to make the most of your Cultivate experience. Well, welcome Megan and Cindy to the Greenhouse Grower to Grower podcast. Thanks for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Glad to be here.
Sure. Well, Ed, I'm looking at the calendar now, and we are less than 2 months away from Cultivate, and I already saw everybody's reaction there, so we know it's coming up quickly. There's a lot of work to do, but so I want to talk about Cultivate for this year, and really want to start with there's a lot of people who go to Cultivate year after year, looking for something new. So let's start with anything new taking place this year. Megan, why don't we start with you? Some of the new parts of things that are part of the agenda for this year.
Yeah, thanks. Well, I'm gonna try not to go too in depth because I get really excited about some of the new things that we do every year at Cultivate. Um, but some of them that we're super excited about, those new additions. The biggest one that we have that will be very new to attendees is the launch of Coach's Corner,
Okay.
which is an area and that really gives attendees that opportunity for that one-on-one coaching, having those conversations with industry experts, and the industry experts are the speakers.
Okay.
So we have selected a handful of speakers that we know will be able to really help add those valuable insights and help individuals grow their business, or maybe it's a profession, like personally, a professional side of that they would like some sort of coaching or help or assistance with, to
Okay.
grow there. And that Coach's Corner is going to be available to attendees with all access passes this year.
Okay.
So you have to have the education pass to do that. And then we will also be kicking that off and sending out those communications in early June, for signups. So attendees
Okay.
can sign up ahead of time, because there are some of the coaches that will have limited spots.
Sure.
People like, Katie DeVal will be there helping out, John Kennedy, Neil Glatt. But we're also, and we're still working on a couple extra coaches, but we'll also have a lot of technical experts as
Sure.
well to really help the growers pinpoint some of those key issues or those pain points that they might be seeing, as they in their growing operations. So we'll have more information on that coming soon. Uh,
Okay, I like that because first, I mean, it's a great chance because you go into a show like Cultivate, and you're kind of going from one place to the next. So
right.
you might have some follow up questions, but
Right.
you find yourself, okay, I have to get somewhere, but I also want to ask all these questions. So I like this about the idea of being able to go much more in depth and personal on a topic that would be of interest to you. So that's a really interesting approach that you guys are taking this year.
Yeah, thanks. We're really excited. A lot of the coaches too they're just as excited and super supportive of it. So it's been a huge team effort, all around, to make this happen for attendees. So we're really, we're stoked.
Good.
Another thing that I was going to point out too
Yeah.
is, we started with Spanish education. So we had an entire track last year really devoted to that education being delivered in Spanish for learners. And we're doing that again this year.
Okay.
But we're expanding the topics. Last year, we really just focused on like the technical side of growing. And this year, we're expanding the topics to everything that an individual would need to be successful in the industry,
Sure.
whether that's, team orientation, and just some professional development as well. And we're going to be having a roundtable that we're super excited about, where attendees can be a little bit more hands-on in their learning and have those discussions. So you'll see, or everyone will see, not just in that Spanish education track, but sprinkled throughout Cultivate. We really focused in on setting up education where it's tiered throughout the day, and you can build your knowledge as you go. But at the end of the day, there's that peer to peer component.
Yeah.
So at the end of every day, it's not every single track of education or across the different segments of the industry, but for most of them, there is that ability to network and to really share and kind of dig deeper into that learning. So that's something that we're also adding more on. And then I guess the last thing I was going to really highlight too is the launch of our HortCred micro credential platform.
Sure.
We're really going big this year and really highlighting that and talking about it. We're excited, and it's going to be a really great learning tool for the industry, to get teams in a quickly up to date in what they need to learn or how they need to develop, to just continue the education past Cultivate. So we'll be
Okay.
talking a lot about that at Cultivate as well.
Okay. Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
and along the lines of new, Cindy, I'll check in with you on this because there's really no better place in the industry to find new than on the Cultivate trade show floor. Whether it's new varieties or new products or whatever. Cindy, do you want to talk about, what are some of the elements, that somebody can expect when they come to Cultivate this year if they're looking for something new?
Yeah. You're absolutely right. And one of the things I'm excited about is we do have 139 new exhibitors with
Oh,
us
wow.
this year.
Okay.
So that's a significant increase from the past few years. So that really says a lot. I think as I'm, applying or sending out applications for new exhibitors, there's a really big interest in coming to Cultivate. I think, every year you think Cultivate's been around for so many years, but it's amazing how many new companies say, "Oh my gosh, someone just told me I have to be at Cultivate with my
Yeah.
product." And you think, "Yeah, where have you been?" But, there's a lot of new startup companies and just, companies that are doing new things. So, yeah, with 139 new exhibitors, I think there's gonna be, a lot of new opportunity for our attendees to, check out the new products. I'm seeing, we have a few more nurseries this year.
Okay.
We've got a few more tree farms. We've got some lots of new technology
Yeah.
companies, lighting. We've got some new fan systems. So, I think it's not only the new products display that they can see in the concourse that will
Right.
highlight some of those products. Not every exhibitor will participate in that area. So, just walking the floor to check out those 140 new exhibitors, I think, is going to be really enticing.
How do you work them into the layout for the trade show floor? Because I mean, it always seems like you guys are getting close to maxing out every year in space. So
Yeah.
to add what is almost the equivalent of a whole other event into that has got to be a
Yeah.
really intense endeavor.
I know it's challenging, but typically we have such a good high retention rate with our current exhibitors. We typically come into new booth sales about 90% full already.
Sure.
So that 10% of booths that are available fill up pretty quickly.
Mm,
I will say that there occasionally will have exhibitors that will then, cancel
mm,
for one reason or another. There's, acquisitions or travel just isn't working and so forth. So we have
yeah.
booths that open up. So with those cancellations, we're able to accommodate more new exhibitors that get a chance to, participate.
Sure, sure. That's a good point too. I hadn't really thought about the acquisition side of things. I mean, you might have two different companies one year, and the next they're going to be one. So
Yeah.
that does open up a space for somebody else. So that's great.
Yeah.
In addition to the new products, there's also new varieties, and I love walking around the new variety zone and just see people spending time just checking out each and every plant that's there.
Yeah. We actually have more new varieties participants that are brand new that haven't participated in the past
Oh,
this
nice.
year as well. I'd say maybe 3 to 5 new companies that are going to be showcasing their new varieties. So,
Okay.
again, new varieties is so popular that it does sell out. However, thank goodness sometimes we'll have a company that did 3 tables one year and this year they're doing two,
Yeah.
or, vice versa. So, thankfully we're able to, kind of get some new folks in and showcase their products and new varieties as well.
Okay, okay. And I definitely want to dig into the whole plant side of thing a little bit more as we get deeper into the conversation here. So I'll come back to that. But I know with an event like Cultivate being so big, it can be hard maybe to have an overall theme or themes from the show. But is there anything this year that kind of stands out to either of you that, this is something that we as a team at American Horror wanted to make sure was represented to a very high degree at an event like Cultivate?
I think across the team as well, the biggest themes we've all been focused on is really helping businesses navigate the that change that's happening and prepare for the future, for what's to come for the industry.
Okay.
So, topics like workforce development, leadership, AI and technology. Cindy pointed out, there's a lot of so many new AI and technology options out there, and what's the best ones, or how are people using them, kind of thing. So our team's been really focused on figuring some of those out, or at least bringing to the table the people or the companies that are doing it well, and really helping with like the operational efficiencies, and while
Yeah.
still staying profitable, because that's huge, for everyone.
Yeah.
So that's, I guess that's one of the biggest themes that I've heard across the team. Cindy, did you have any other ideas or thoughts on those?
No, I'll absolutely agree with Megan on that. Everything she just said, and technology, AI, in addition to the amazing education programming that Megan and her team puts together
Mhm.
with all of the wonderful sessions, even on the Cultivate Live stage, which is on the trade show floor. The exhibitors are showcasing those kinds of new things, new technology.
Yeah.
And those are just, the quick 30-minute sort of, sponsored slots that people can get a really good idea about a specific product and
Sure.
new, technology that someone might be introducing. So those are always really a nice way for folks on the trade show floor to just walk by the Cultivate Live stage and check out a session for 30 minutes.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I always wonder too sometimes, you have, these evolving trends, I'll say workforce development and AI being a couple of those, but then you also have in certain years something that, fairly quickly becomes a critical issue for the industry, whether it's something like tariffs or rising costs or fuel prices or whatever. Is that something, because I know, at the State of the Industry address that the team at American Heart gives, they cover a lot of that, but is how do you look at maybe trying to incorporate some of those, rapid fire, developing topics into a program like Cultivate, or do you kind of just let it play out through, the conversations that a supplier is going to have with the grower and the trade show floor, for example?
We have every year there's over 150, 160 sessions,
Mhm.
and the education team is really specific and kind of holding some slots back, so that we can sneak those emerging issues in.
Okay,
So you'll see those in education, throughout the program as
sure.
well. So and this year our advocacy team is going to have a session, where they're going to talk about some of those hot topics that they've seen, and how everyone can navigate those, and it'll be a very open. They'll have Q&A, so that'll be a really good one as well, that will happen after the state of the industry address with the team. So that'll be a really great way for people to kind of dive deeper on some of those topics and have that chance to ask questions. Because when you're sitting in that big room, what the Battelle room, which is where we had to change last year all the keynotes to because we had so many people and we didn't have the space for them in the previous area.
Yeah.
So it gives you that one-on-one, a little more intimate, a little more network type of feel to it after the fact. So yeah,
Okay.
we're excited about that one.
Okay. One more question on the educational
Yeah.
side of things is,
Yes.
and I know you guys get a ton of submissions for topics to be presented. So
Yes.
how do you make those decisions? What do you look for in terms of what's going to be a good education topic each year?
Yeah, that's I think this year we had over 600 topic submissions or
Okay.
session proposals from people, which it just blows us away because it grows and grows every year and it makes our job that much harder. But one of the ways that we really focus the education team goes for is really looking at what is the industry struggling with the most right now.
Yeah.
And then we spend a lot of time listening to growers, retailers, landscapers, interior landscapers, business owners, HR, to just really dive in and learn from them, from what they see, what they experience on a daily basis. And
Okay.
we really lean into our community connectors and the board who help guide us on those big issues or those big topics to really take those opportunities and drive forward with education.
Okay. Okay. We've talked a lot about, the programming within Cultivate, and this is where I want to go back to the plant side of things for a little bit and ask you, Cindy. So, there's always the question at the end of each year's Cultivate. You have a room full of plants that, is like I said, they're going back to the breeders, or some people taking a few plants home here and there. But there's always a huge pool of plants left over, and the question is, okay, what do you guys do with those? So, Cindy, can you kind of talk about, you know, what your team does with those plants then?
Yeah, sure. Um, yeah, first of all, I we need to thank our companies that donate all of their plant material. I mean, we wouldn't be able to make Cultivate as beautiful as it is without the partnership of those companies that donate so much plant material. So we're so grateful for that. And you'll see along the concourse all of our displays, and our exhibitors also do displays along the concourse and obviously in their booths. So yeah, what happens to those plants? Well, lots of it are donated by these folks and they don't take them back. So we partner with some local Columbus charities
Okay.
that come in and bring a truck, a gigantic truck. We partner with the Habitat for Humanity Mid Ohio.
Mhm.
They come in and gather up the plants as well as the city of Columbus for beautification projects.
Okay.
So the Habitat for Humanity specifically, they have um, a sale at their restore sales
Sure.
stores, 3 of them, and the what they make from that profit really helps them build a home, build a habitat home. So,
Nice.
not only are we beautifying the city of Columbus, but we're helping, that organization build homes for people that need them. So, um, we couldn't do Cultivate without those donations, and then it just comes into the community. One more thing I will mention, not only the plant material, but, just fresh cut flowers. We have some events where we have, beautiful flower arrangements on the tables. We've
Yeah.
partnered with a company called Stems for Seniors. They are a nonprofit organization that we will gather up all of our vases of plants, our beautiful flowers, and they'll come and pick them up and they bring them to hospice centers and assisted living communities,
Okay.
so that the seniors can enjoy those flowers for a bit longer.
Okay. It's funny. I remember coming to the first time that I came to Cultivate. And, every big city will have conventions that take place, but you don't always know that there's something going on unless you actually go into the convention center and go to the trade show floor. Cultivate's different. You show up in Columbus and you're within, a half a mile or so of the convention center. You're seeing signs of this is a floral industry coming together in one place. I mean, you don't have to even be in the building to see what's happening there. So that's always something that's really impressive to me. Um, I kind of want to wrap up the discussion with, you know, how and get each of your perspectives on this. How can somebody attending Cultivate, whether it's for the first time or whether they've been there for several years, tips on making the most of their experience? Because it's a full agenda every year, lots of education, massive trade show floor, lots of other activities going on beyond that. Advice from either of you on how to make the most of your experience. And Megan, I'll start with you for that.
Okay. Phew, so much advice. No. I've had some lessons learned from when I was an attendee at Cultivate too.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest tip really is just come in with a plan. There's truly so much happening during that week. Like we've said, you've said, and I recommend using that my show planner that we have available
Mm,
and downloading the Cultivate 26 app,
sure.
um, so that attendees can really you can build your schedules, you can save sessions, you can even take notes within the app for sessions that you're sitting in, kind of thing. So
Okay.
it's super helpful tool. And Cindy can talk a little bit more about it with on the exhibitor side. But there's a lot of different options and features within that, for the exhibitor side. So it just really helps you stay organized and can help develop a plan so you get the most out of your time on site.
Sure.
Um, and one thing I really encourage people to take advantage of the keynote sessions in the Patel hall. And it's really great opportunity to see everyone in the industry come together. There's hundreds of people that show up that morning. There's free coffee. Uh, so also helpful in the mornings.
I take advantage
Just
of that. Trust me, I know that.
I know, and you don't have to stand in that long line at Starbucks, but, just really a way for everyone to come together and celebrate and learn. And then also the one thing that, we've been doing and has been a really great successful program on, coming together is the Women Hort Luncheon.
Hmm.
This year, the speaker is Christine Cashin, and she's contributed to our education program, in May that we're doing, but also she has a couple other sessions. But what she's going to bring and deliver during the Women Hort Luncheon is going to be pretty epic, um,
Okay.
is as the team would say. And I think that one's going to be one that you don't want to miss. So just always a really great, energizing and positive event as well. But, overall, my advice, leave room for networking too as you're planning that,
Hmm.
as you're planning where you're going and what you're doing. Because, you always have those unexpected conversations that happen after a session or, on the trade show floor that you wish you could have stayed for just a little bit longer. So just all of those ideas and connections really come together at Cultivate. So having a plan ahead of time really helps save that space so you can have those opportunities.
Okay. And Cindy, before I get your take, I'll throw out my own advice that I give every year, and that's use the show planner and the show guide to know where everything is, so that you don't find yourself, for example, scheduling a 2 o'clock meeting with somebody in aisle 4 of the trade show floor and a 2:30 meeting with somebody in aisle 30. Because I can guarantee you're not going to make it on time, especially if you're trying to build some of extra time in for those conversations. So just a tip from one of the other people who's been there year after year and tends to learn those lessons each time. So, Cindy, what about you? Your advice on making the most of your Cultivate experience?
Yeah, and Brian, I'll just tag on to what you just said. The show planner online and also in the mobile app, they have included some new features this year. So
Mm,
you can do a lot more things with it. You can do really like a personalized agenda. There's like smart recommendations that if you input something, they'll kind of match you with your interests and who you might want to visit.
yeah.
Also, there's directions, like walkable directions. If you're on the floor at booth 400 and you need to get to booth 1359, it'll draw you a little map, and you can just
Okay.
kind of walk that map. So those are some cool new features that the mobile app will have. And the My Show Planner, like Megan said, I can't stress it enough. I think just going and looking at that and seeing what exhibitors you want to visit, seeing what sessions you want to participate in, also the extras, the Franklin Park Conservatory that folks can, take the bus to,
Sure.
to kind of experience some Columbus, art, what we want to showcase. So I think that the app is 100% something that people should take advantage of, to just help navigate the show. And
Sure.
you know, the trade show's open, really all 3 days. So there's lots of time. People get out there and just kind of walk that floor and see what they can see.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and for those listening, again, a reminder, make sure to download the app for Cultivate 2026. And then also just go to cultivateevent.org just to learn more about all the programming, education, trade show map, other activities, as you both talked about, you name it. So, well, again, we're less than 2 months away. I know I'm excited to be back there this year. I'm sure both of you are just as excited, if not a little bit nervous, because I get all the planning that goes into it. So, but I want to thank both you, Cindy and Megan, for taking the time to join me this morning, and looking forward to another great year.
Thank you so much, Brian.
Thanks. It'll be great. It'll be epic.
Thank you for joining us. You can learn more about this and other topics at greenhousegrower.com, and you can also follow Greenhouse Grower on LinkedIn. Please subscribe to this podcast on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify, and please leave us a rating or review as it helps other listeners find the show. The Greenhouse Grower to Grower podcast is produced by the team at Meister Media Worldwide. I'm Brian Sparks, editor of Greenhouse Grower.